Tom Hanks, America's beloved everyman, the guy who brought us Forrest Gump's unstoppable heart, Castaway's raw fight to survive, and Philadelphia's brave stand against injustice. For decades, he's been the warm soul in Hollywood's cold machine. Kind, humble, real. But at 69, behind that iconic smile, he's wrestling battles no movie could prepare him for. A childhood of chaos, broken marriages, family heartache, and health struggles that hit hard. If his films ever gave you hope or a good cry, hit that like button now to honor the kindest guy on screen. Stay with us. This is the unfiltered story of Tom Hanks, scars, triumphs, and all. Born July 9th, 1956, in Concord, California, Tom's early years were a rough ride. His parents' divorced at age 4 split the family like a cracked mirror. He and 2 siblings went with his dad, a cook always chasing the next job, while his youngest brother stayed with their mom. By 10, Tom had lived in 10 different homes, cramped rentals with peeling walls, worn-out clothes, and meals that barely filled the stomach, let alone the heart. New schools meant new faces, but he was always the outsider, eating lunch alone, learning to stay quiet to avoid trouble. "I was a geek, a loner," he'd later say, words that hit a deeper hurt. Home wasn't a place, it was a beat-up suitcase. But the school stage changed everything. Under dim auditorium lights, he slipped into other lives, where applause drowned out the silence of his world. That sound wasn't just noise, it was a lifeline. It sparked a quiet promise. If he ever found his voice, he'd use it to make others feel seen, to ease the loneliness he knew too well. Growing up didn't bring relief, it brought new struggles. At 21, Tom dropped out of Sacramento State University and headed to New York in 1977 with nothing but a rickety typewriter, a few bucks, and dreams that felt like long shots. The city was brutal, high rent, tiny rooms, cold nights. He crashed on friends' floors or lumpy couches, scrounging change for cheap eats. Auditions were a grind. Most ended with a polite no or silence. "The room didn't need me," he'd say, the sting still fresh years later. Hollywood wanted sharp, slick types, and his soft kindness felt like a flaw. But he kept at it, taking any gig, bit parts in low-budget horror flicks like He Knows You're Alone, 1980, off-Broadway roles, even sweeping stages and hanging lights at Cleveland's Great Lakes Theater Festival in the late 70s. Every rejection sharpened him. Every small job built grit. By 1980, at 24, he landed Bosom Buddies, a quirky sitcom where he dressed as a woman to score a cheap apartment. It was silly, short-lived, but it paid the bills, barely. Failure wasn't an option. It meant slipping back into being invisible. Those lean years shaped him, turning a scared, skinny kid into the steady force Hollywood would one day cherish. Fame looked shiny, but came with a cost. Big, 1988, made him a star, capturing a kid's wonder in a man's body. But Philadelphia, 1993, demanded he lose 35 pounds and dive into the pain of AIDS stigma, a role that left shadows long after filming wrapped. Forrest Gump, 1994, was a massive win. He traded a $7 million salary for a share of the profits, pocketing over $70 million and 2 Oscars. But the applause turned into pressure to always deliver, like a test he couldn't fail. Saving Private Ryan, 1998, carried the heavy weight of war's trauma, leaving him drained in ways that went beyond the physical. Castaway, 2000, meant months of near-silent solitude, mirroring a loneliness that felt too real. Success wasn't freedom. It was a beautiful room with a locked door, he'd say. After long days, he'd sit alone, wondering who he was without the camera. Doubt haunted him. He'd pore over scripts, second-guess lines, admit only a few films felt good enough to him. But he poured that struggle into his work, choosing roles that honored real people and real pain, making sure anyone watching felt a little less alone in their own fights. Love was his anchor, but it wobbled plenty. At 21, he married Samantha Lewis in 1978, not out of strength but fear. Fear of being alone, fear of repeating his parents' broken home. Their kids, Colin and Elizabeth, came fast, but Hollywood's demands pulled him away. By 1987, the marriage fell apart, a quiet split that echoed his childhood. The guilt crushed him. He'd sworn to stop the cycle of fractured families. But his kids were now splitting time between homes, just like he had. Nights after filming scenes of happy dads, he'd face empty hotel rooms, sometimes sitting in his car to avoid the silence. The hardest sound was the hush when my kids were hurting far away, he'd confess. Even after the divorce, he cared for Samantha. When bone cancer hit her later, he covered her treatments, sat by her bed, held her hand. A kid who'd once promised to protect her, still trying. That loss lingered, a reminder that some promises break no matter how hard you hold on. Then came Rita Wilson, a slow, steady light. They met on the Bosom Buddies set, became friends, then more, marrying in 1988. Their love grew not from flash, but from patience, raising sons Chet and Truman while navigating Hollywood's chaos. Rita saw his quiet regrets, his fear of failing those he loved. They looked solid, smiling at premieres, hands clasped, but life tested them hard. In 2015, Rita was diagnosed with breast cancer. The double mastectomy and slow recovery shook them both. Tom couldn't shield her. He could only hold her hand, whisper courage, and cry alone when the fear of losing her hit. "She saved my life more times than I can count," he said. They beat it, but the scars, physical and not, stayed, a reminder that even strong love carries a quiet fear. Tom's type 2 diabetes, diagnosed in 2013, added another layer of care. He managed it with strict diets and routines, but it made every health scare sharper. In 2020, COVID struck while they were filming in Australia. It hit hard. Fevers, no taste or smell, bone-deep exhaustion. At 63, with diabetes, Tom faced real risk. In isolation, he wrote farewell notes, not out of panic but preparation, haunted by the thought of leaving Rita or watching her fade. She needed him steady. He found ways to make her laugh, even when she could barely sit up. They pulled through, but recovery was slow. Aches lingered, walks left him winded. It changed them, binding them tighter with gratitude. Their love isn't a glossy romance. It's gritty, forged in hospital rooms and late-night fears, a bond that holds because they know what it's like to almost lose everything. The deepest wound came from family. Son Chet, born into privilege, fell hard. Addiction, public outbursts, a 2015 car crash lawsuit that tangled Tom and Rita's names in headlines. For Tom, who'd fought to give his kids the stability he never had, it felt like his past knocking. Chet called himself the black sheep, a label that cut deep. Tom carried the guilt, had his fame, his long hours, cast a shadow too big for his son. He didn't turn away or lash out, just stayed there, making calls, offering support, hoping. In 2015, he backed Chet through rehab, but recovery's a long road, not a quick fix. The headlines hurt. A man who dodged scandal now saw his son's name next to addiction and lawsuit. But love doesn't quit. Tom kept showing up, even when it broke his heart, knowing some battles can't be won, only fought. Now, at 69, Tom carries quieter fights. Diabetes means daily needles, careful meals, and energy that fades faster than it used to. A bitter twist for the guy who reshaped his body for Castaway. Age slows his steps. Self-doubt picks at every role, whispering he's not enough anymore. Fame isolates. Crowds cheer, but hotel rooms echo. His kids' paths tug at him. Colin's acting career gets measured against his own. Chet's sobriety is a fragile hope. Elizabeth guards her privacy, and Truman navigates public eyes. Guilt lingers. Did he pass on the cracks of his own childhood? Yet his kindness, the thing we all love, comes from those cracks. He gives time, money, heart, to cancer research, homeless shelters, arts for kids who feel invisible. No spotlight, just steady help. Today, Tom Hanks builds peace deliberately, crafting calm from a life of hard-won lessons. He resides in a $26 million Pacific Palisades mansion, a serene retreat with limestone walls, expansive windows, and a resort-style pool that feels like a deep exhale. Summers, he and Rita Wilson escape to their stone villa on Greece's Anaparos Island, where olive trees sway and sea breezes strip life to its essence. Simple, quiet, grounding. His $400 million fortune, fueled by Forrest Gump's $70 million back-end deal, funds more than luxury. Historic homes, a Bay Area houseboat tied to his lean years, and quiet philanthropy, hospitals, schools, cancer research, and aid for the overlooked. Tom chooses roles with heart, like A Man Called Otto, 2022, or reunites with Steven Spielberg for projects rich in meaning. He pens essays on history and humanity, shares insights on podcasts, and drives through LA in vintage or electric cars, trading laughs with fans. Hand in hand with Rita on walks, he savors connection. Peace isn't a gift he stumbled on. It's a daily choice, built moment by moment, rooted in gratitude and purpose. Tom Hanks is more than his movies. He's kindness made real, decency you can count on. From returning lost student IDs with a signed note to surprising fans with impromptu selfies during jogs, or even helping with marriage proposals in Central Park, he listens harder than he speaks, gives without a parade, and turns everyday encounters into lasting memories. His philanthropy shines through too, supporting AIDS research via the Elizabeth Glaser Foundation after Philadelphia, backing cancer charities like Stand Up to Cancer, and founding Hanks for the Troops in 2023 to aid veterans with coffee profits, earning him the 2025 Sylvanus Thayer Award from West Point for his service member portrayals and real-world compassion. He turns pain into purpose, channeling childhood instability and personal scars into empathy that guides his life and work. In a loud world, he's proof that quiet courage can change everything, showing us goodness isn't weak. It's a choice you fight for, as seen in his narration of NBC's The Americas series in early 2025. If Forrest Gump made you smile, Sleepless in Seattle made you believe in love, or Saving Private Ryan hit you hard, share your moment below. What's the Tom Hanks role that stayed with you? He shows us that true strength is choosing kindness through every storm. Like, subscribe, share. Let's celebrate the man who makes goodness timeless.